Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I'm Louis Garcia, sitting in for Chris Oviedo. We've been celebrating Howard Community College's 50th anniversary with a series of interviews looking back at the college's history. Today, we're going to do a little of that, but we're also going to take a big look forward at the college's future. And who better to do that than with Dr. Kate Hetherington, HCC President, and the Chairperson of HCC's Board of Trustees, Feli Sola-Carter. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this. First off, happy anniversary.
Same to you.
Yes, thank you. I was just telling them both that this is actually 10 years with the college for me. And a big 50th anniversary all this week has been a great look back. What are your personal reflections on HCC as it marks its anniversary? And I'll start with you, Kate.
Well, it certainly has been an exciting time to begin the second 50 years of the college. And but I look back on the year like you, Louis, I have been at the college for 21 years. And so a big chunk of that 50 years I've been at the college, and I'm in my 14th year as the college's president. And so, you know, when I think back, and especially looking on our website with all those pictures of the college from how it was 50 years ago, I'm reminded of many things, and partly the people who really helped build the college, the faculty and staff who were the beginning faculty and staff who laid such a wonderful foundation. Our previous presidents, Al Smith, who came here and looked at this patch of land that had cows walking around it, and he and the faculty created this wonderful space that has since grown in size and number of students. And so it's a very special time, and especially for me because I was a community college student during the same period of time. So when I look back on those pictures that are on our website, they look very familiar to me. I was at a different school, but experiencing the community college that many of our students did. There was a time of turmoil in our country then. We might not remember that, but in 1970, we were dealing with the Vietnam War, women's issues, civil rights issues, and it was turmoil, yet excitement about the possibilities of how the world could change. And going to a community college, as I did, and our students and our alumni did, they had that chance to be part of something really new because there weren't that many community colleges around. A lot of them came into their being in the late 60s, early 70s. So for me, it's a time of reflection, but it is also a time to look forward to the possibilities of how we can grow and be better.
How about you, Feli?
Well, for me, my college introduction was in 1991 when we moved to Howard County from the New York area, and learning that this was one of the most exciting options for continuing your education in the state of Maryland, that it already had a sterling reputation. And it proved to be true in terms of the access and ability it had for every member of my family in some way to either teach a class, take a class, engage in some civic activity. And for me, as a former advocate, meeting with Dr. Hetherington before I knew that I would ever end up on the board, to inquire about access for Hispanic students, I'll never forget how transforming that conversation was, because I had not encountered someone who was so open to, of course, we do our best and we always seek to continue to do our best, and here we are. So it's been a journey of excitement and joy and pride and satisfaction.
And one thing I've learned since I moved here, shortly after I took the job here, was how much the community college is part of the community. I mean, you run into so many people who went here for one reason or another, whether it's as a student or as a continuing ed student. There's just been a great part of this town, of this county.
Yes, it has such a presence. I mean, think about the Smith Auditorium and all the other activities that are going on here constantly.
Yeah, and you could add to that, to the theater, you could add our Kids on Campus program. Some some people have had their first experience when they were like 7 years old going through our summer camps. And the other thing is the senior population, which again takes advantage of the many opportunities that we have through the theater, through the arts, and through taking classes. Many of them will take classes, and it's a great deal in the state of Maryland because you only have to pay the fees. And they enrich our classes too by sharing their life experiences. So when I meet with a group in our community or they come to campus, I'll ask, has anybody ever attended the classes? All right, do you know someone who's attended classes at HCC? Have you ever seen a show at Rep Stage? Have you ever had your kids playing in the summer on our soccer camps? And by the end of these questions that I asked, everybody in the room has raised their hand because they've had a connection with the college.
And I'm about to ask you about some of the things that have changed since its opening. And one of the things to me, in just 10 years, I mean, I've seen the health sciences building go up, the SET building go up, so many changes. That's amazing in just 10 years. So what do you think, Kate, what do you think has changed? How has HCC changed and grown the most since its opening in 1970?
Well, I would talk about the orientation that the college has had, and most community colleges throughout the country had back in the 70s. And it was all about open access, about providing opportunities for people to access the college, to come to a community college. And then over the last 20 years, there's been a shift that it's focused on completion and student success and making sure that if you get in the door, we'll provide all the support that you need to finish, whether that's a short-term program that you have or a degree or transfer. And that really wasn't the way it was many, many years ago. So I think our philosophy has changed, and you'll see that now in many of the programs that we have put forth, like the Guided Pathways, for example. You'll see that in our strategic plan, where we're focused on the number of graduates that are coming through the college every year. You'll see that in the programs that we have offered to support our underserved students, particularly our Black and brown men, our Hispanic Latinx population, our single parents. We have support programs with a number of wraparound services to make sure that success is the byword of everything that we do here at the college. So I'd say that is a big, big shift that we've had since then. And of course we've grown. I mean, from a little one building to all the buildings that we have on campus now. We still have the 120 acres, but we have expanded to the Laurel College Center, that is 20 years with Prince George's Community College, our shared program in Laurel. And then we, of course, have a presence at Gateway in the new Innovation Center, where we supply services and programs to businesses and agencies that work with many of the federal agencies in our area. So I'd say those are the things where I've seen that growth.
How about you, Feli? What have you seen in the time that you've been here? What kind of growth have you seen?
Well, from the time I've been on the board, I have to tell you, one of the things that amazes me about the school is how responsive we are as an institution in terms of what are the needs of the population, what are the needs of the students, how do we adapt, how do we grow? And for me, one of my benchmarks is Jim Rouse's vision for Columbia as a place where you could see the growth of its people. That's a phrase that he would use. And to me, every aspect of life in Howard Community College is driven around helping you grow in whatever aspect of your life you seek to excel in, to learn, to develop, and so on, in the most creative and open way to do it.
So let's take a look now at the future. And what are some of the trends that you're seeing now that's likely going to impact how the college moves forward?
Well, I would say that the major impact will be in the area of technology. I mean, that's already influencing the way we deliver our services, the way we deliver education. And you could see that when we had the pandemic strike in March, within less than 2.5 weeks, we moved everything to online or remote. And fortunately for us, the college had been skilled in the area of doing online. If you looked at our enrollment last fall, about 26% of our students that were enrolled in fall classes were taking an online class. So it wasn't something that we weren't familiar with, and the faculty have done a tremendous job. But you want to, of course, make sure you give not everybody was as well skilled as others. So we did a lot of professional development. Our faculty worked with other faculty to provide professional development that the students would have the best experience ever. And when we surveyed students at the end of the spring semester, after going through the initial part of the pandemic, we asked students, well, how did you think that we did in terms of providing services to you? And for students, they rated us at 94% that we did a very good job. So we're very pleased with what we did, but that is a testament to the faculty and staff to have that agility to really pivot from something that, if I had asked them the prior fall, listen, everybody, in 2 weeks, I want everything on this whole campus to go remote, they would have thought I was nuts. But anyway, they were able to do it, and they took the initiative with the guidance that was provided by our Board of Trustees, of course, and me, and along with my leadership team. So technology helps because we had to provide laptop computers for students who didn't have them, and faculty and staff. Some, they had computers, but they had one computer in a house with 5 people, so they didn't have one to use on their own. We provided hotspots so that if someone didn't have internet access, we made sure that they did. And again, to address our students, or underserved students who maybe needed food, childcare, we were fortunate to receive stimulus funds through the federal government, and we were able to provide funding for those students who told us that they needed support, and of course demonstrated financial need. So it was really an all hands on deck. So I think what we're going to see in the future is that we'll continue to have technology impact what we do. Another example of that is we never did telecounseling. It's like telemedicine with your doctor, but this would be telecounseling with one of our professional staff here at the college. Our students never had that opportunity. But once COVID hit, we weren't able to meet face-to-face, and yet the anxiety level, the depression level, the mental health related issues were just on the rise. And so our counseling staff pivoted to telecounseling. And it's one of those things that it's like a silver lining. You think, okay, we're hearing from students that they actually prefer that approach, where they don't have to schedule a babysitter. They don't have to sit in a waiting room where someone's saying that they need to see a counselor. They don't have to take time off from work. And the feedback students are giving us is that for many of them, that's their preference. So I think technology will be different. I also think that we offer a variety of courses and programs here at the college, whether they're in primarily associate degree, students are transferring, or students that are in a career and technical program, say nursing, they'll complete in their 2 years. I think we're going to see more short-term program that Google, that edX is offering, all those outside firms are offering. I think you're going to see our college offering more of those. And yet I also see the opportunity that with such a demand in healthcare, we currently in this state are not able to offer bachelor's degrees in nursing and health programs. I do think that will change over time. I just don't think that four-year universities in our state have that capacity for the demand that will be out there for bachelor's degree students, nursing graduates with bachelor's degree. And I do think with time that will change. So it's not a shift of our mission because it's not all programs, but I think in some select areas, we might see degrees beyond the associate degree. So shorter term programs and possibly longer term programs.
I'm sure you're always keeping an eye on changes in the job market, the changes in the economy, and I see in the Board of Trustees meetings, you're always looking ahead, always looking towards the future. What other trends do what other stuff do you look at just as you're planning ahead?
Well, I think one of our best features is our agility as an institution, our ability to adapt, to foresee. I recently attended an activity with institutions of higher learning of all types, and I was struck by how some of the issues that they were just identifying as trends are issues that we have quickly adapted to. So for instance, apprenticeships, internships, health sciences, the whole range of those that we do so well and have been doing well for a long time. If you look at our historic our videos on the history of the college, you will see we've been at this before others were at it, and we continue to build on that. So that agility to adapt and to offer what is needed, because we find ourselves at a time, perhaps accelerated by the results of the pandemic, where individuals have to really reset their skills, rethink what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. So how do we position ourselves so we are the solution? I also believe, from a financial perspective, that you can't beat our value. I mean, you just cannot. We offer the value proposition for a degree, a skill set, apprenticeship, whatever you're seeking at the Howard County Community College exceeds what you can get in any of our four-year institutions in the state. It's just a fact. So it provides, we are positioned to be leaders, to continue to lead, because we are leaders, we are considered the best in the country, to continue to lead in meeting needs and anticipating trends and doing it in a fiscally responsible way.
And I know, Kate, you already mentioned some of the changes that we had to go through because of COVID. And as an adjunct, I was so appreciative of all the support we got from the administration, right from like the very first day when we were doing these crash courses in Zoom and all sorts of media site and different technologies, and everyone was scrambling to get laptops. And it just seemed like every day there was just something new coming out that the administration and everybody was doing to help us, and it's been wonderful. So you mentioned a couple things that have changed that might keep doing, like the virtual counseling. Are there other things that have come in because of the pandemic that you see might be part of the college in the future?
Well, I think we'll continue. We have at the college our Commission on the Future, which every 5 years we invite members of the community to come in to help us shape the future. The future is, we're living through what we imagined the future would be. And we appreciate the help that we get from people within the community, whether they serve on our advisory committees for our programs. I think those conversations are going to just have to continue in order for us to know what we should be doing. One of the things that I value here at the college is that we do have an entrepreneurial spirit, and that and I think that's why we were able to adjust as quickly as we could, and people are oriented that way. That's just the way we operate here at the college. But we do it in a responsible way because we're always, we do assessing and we always look at the data. It's not that we just willy-nilly do whatever we think we should do. There's a focus to it, supported by a plan. Our Plan, Do, Check, Act, Louis, that, we talk about that all the time, and that assessment. And I do think that is going to probably accelerate those communications, because, during the last big event, the recession, the Great Recession, many of the jobs that people were working at disappeared. And that will happen now. But there'll be new jobs, and those new jobs are going to require new skill sets. So us communicating with business, with industry, and we have such a wonderful department through our continuing education and workforce development, led by Mina Wu, our Associate Vice President, who they are out in the community all the time. Our deans who are heading our academic programs, again, they have relationships with the community, so they know where we're going to have to shift. But I do think that's going to be critical. So what's the common thread here? The common thread is the communication, constant communication. Us listening, big part of communication is listening. Us listening, us researching, us being aware of what's on the horizon. So we at Howard love to be the first out the gate. Many of the our apprenticeship programs, we were first out the gate in many of those programs. And so I think we're going to be continuing to be a cutting edge organization just because we have this innate curiosity about what we can do to make the college better and to serve our students and our community.
So looking forward, there's going to be changes. What are some of the challenges, especially coming after the COVID epidemic?
Well, first and foremost, finances are an issue. As a board, we have, the responsibility to make sure that any decisions that we make are sustainable fiscally. And so that has proven quite a challenge. We put the well-being of our employees and our students at the top, right at the top of the list. And we take that responsibility very seriously. And it's balancing needs, desires, interests, opportunities, options, future possibilities, while trying to do the best in the context of our value system at the school. I think we have been helped enormously by the sense that whatever we have set to accomplish, we have so far, and that we continuously seek to improve. So the plan, do, check, I plan to act, check process, that applies to us as well. And we are continuously asking, might we do this differently, better? Might it be more or less cost effective to do in a particular way? Are we getting the results that we need? And at the end of the day, it's all about continuous improvement and about understanding that whatever we do, we want to do it to the best of our abilities and the best service we can provide to our students and our community and our exceptional team of leaders at the school, because I cannot underscore how extraordinary it's been to get to know and work with the leadership and all at the college, truly, yourself included, at least. Thank you.
I think I would add to that, as far as the challenges facing the college looking forward, is that demographics are changing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just not as many people that are coming first time, full time to college. And we saw a significant dip this semester for first time, full time. Now, with that in mind, our headcount number of students actually here grew by a little over 3%. But how the college has funded its own full-time equivalent, that went down because people weren't taking as many classes. So where did that increase come from? Well, primarily it came from the Howard County Public School System, as well as homeschooled students or private school students, but primarily Howard County School System through the Jumpstart program. And this fall semester, we have about 1,700 high school students that are taking classes either on site at the high school or they're coming here. Well, I say coming here, virtually coming here to HCC. Same thing at the high school. They're virtually taking the classes. But that was a significant jump that we had even from last fall. And I do see that is helping the college to overcome the fact that we just don't have those numbers that we used to have in the past. And the adult learner, which typically during the last recession, we had double-digit enrollment growth. And a lot of that was because people were coming back to get degrees, to get new jobs. The pandemic is different though. We're not seeing as many adult learners come back, and they will eventually once we get through the pandemic. But part of that is the uncertainty about, well, what jobs would I come for? And I think also, if you go back to Maslow's hierarchy, remember basic needs like people just making sure that they can survive. Some for our adult learners are having challenges thinking about going to school right now. So we are getting the word out saying, still think about HCC because we have the resources here. We've received federal stimulus money and we've granted over, well, at this end of the semester, it'll be over $2 million that we disperse to students in need. We have financial aid available. We have programs, we have support through advisors that can walk you through what makes the best sense for you to prepare for the next career. So I think now that we're 7 months into this, people are starting to think, I really need to get focused on what's going to happen. This pandemic is lasting longer than I thought. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to see some of those adult learners that really just sat out. And that's not only our school, that's across the state of Maryland, across the country. They sat out because they were just trying to live their lives and make sure that they were taking care of their families. So with all the resources we have here at the college, I do think that it's a challenge, but it's an opportunity for the college to serve those in Howard County that we're able to because of what we have.
I would like to add, in terms of the support that we have, the Education Foundation for the Community College, they have done a phenomenal job of helping our students, help fundraise, getting the word out, and that speaks to the engagement not only to our donors, but the college community has as part of our broader community in the county. So we are do our best to be as accessible as we can be, and to be able to help you succeed in whatever you're setting out to accomplish. You know, to have that flexibility and that ability to do that.
I feel that's why it's so important to be so plugged in with the county and be communicating. Like you had mentioned, Kate, be just communicating with the county leaders and with business leaders because it helps us, it helps them.
Right. Yeah. It certainly is a win-win proposition. That's for sure.
So let's talk about a little bit about we were talking about changes. In what ways do you hope the college will stay the same in the next 50 years?
Well, I hope that we will continue to be a welcoming and supportive environment for students. When I first came to the college, I was Vice President of Student Services. And I recall when at the last place of employment, we had a president there. He was absolutely wonderful. And he talked about creating a welcoming and supportive environment for students. And I latched on to that, and I thought, that's what we're really about. We want to make sure that students feel like they are part of the college as soon as they set foot in the college, because we have many students that are first-generation students that are coming here. They don't have family members who can explain to them things like our language. Our language is a curriculum or a program of study. You know, people don't not even know what we're talking about. If they're not familiar with it. So trying to make sure that once people set foot on this campus, that people that meet them, greet them, make eye contact. And that's what I felt 21 years ago when I came for my job interview. I came from a totally different urban, rough environment where I worked before, and pretty much eye contact did not happen. And when I came to HCC for my job interview, I didn't know where the room was. Someone saw that I was lost and they walked up to me and they said, "How can I help you?" Well, I almost passed out because I wasn't expecting that kind of reception. And that has permeated all the time that I've been here. And I do hope, because people have told me when they've come on campus, they say, this is a very special place. People seem to care. If you're lost, they'll walk you to wherever you need to go. They're actually looking to see if they can help. That's unique. And that's why I think the college has been recognized in so many ways, whether it's the Great College to Work For award that we've won for 12 consecutive years, the only community college to have received that in the United States for all the times that it was available. And also the Malcolm Baldrige Award for Excellence, the presidential level award. I think it's because everyone works together to make sure that we create this welcoming and supportive environment. So, and it's not just for students, as you could see by my example, it's for anybody coming here. It's for each other. We're here to support each other. And that was another thing when I was started here as an employee. I couldn't believe how many people would say, "How can I help you?" from other offices. And I thought, wow, this is different. It's just not the norm. And so I do hope that continues into the future.
I agree. And I have to echo Kate's experience. My very first visit to the campus, I did not park where I had been advised to park. It's my own fault because I didn't read the map properly. But I did eventually find a spot. I thought I was running late and so on. And I encountered 3 different individuals who directed me. And the last one said, "You look so stressed. Let me walk you to where you need to meet." I couldn't believe that. I could not believe that somebody would do that. I was just a visitor, not anything, but I have seen that since, and I love to collect stories about the college, because sometimes when you're associated with a particular organization and somebody says, "Oh, let me tell you about it," you hold your breath. And I'm not collecting those. I mean, every single instance where I've had someone say, "I need to tell you something," It has been something of a very positive nature, typically involving an unexpected kind act, kind word, encouragement by someone on the campus, from our fabulous staff that maintains our grounds looking so beautiful, to our security staff, to a student, to a random, whoever it might be.
And I mentioned earlier that it's my 10th anniversary here. This is actually the longest I've been on one job in my life. And there's a reason for that, because this is such a warm and welcoming place. People work together, and if there's a problem, we work together to solve it. It's just, it's been a great 10 years for me.
I'm glad to hear that. I don't know, Louis, if you remember, I usually meet with most of the new employees, through workshops that we have sponsored through HR or new faculty orientation. And one of the things that I say to our employees is that I want this to be the best work experience that you will have in your life. And you may not always stay with the college throughout your entire career, but when you look back on working at your entire career, I want you to look back as at the HCC time as the best time. And what's funny is that some people have remembered that, and when they've moved on to other places, they said, HCC was the best place I ever worked. And it's just, but that takes effort. It's like a marriage, you have to keep working at it. It's not like something you take for granted. You have to listen to, what employees are saying. So we survey our employees annually. We have meetings, I meet with constituency groups, I meet with student groups, I'm meeting with student leaders right after this show. You have to listen and have that connection, and if you value our mission and what we do, then it's a joy. It really is a joy to do that.
Yes, I would like to add to that this is the best illustration I've experienced after a lifetime in leadership in various organizations in various sectors of a genuine commitment to servant leadership. Genuine commitment to this for whoever you are in the college, wherever you are. And something that, again, I've not experienced to the same degree anyplace else. When something perhaps develops in a way you had not anticipated, or something you may want to look at something, or you had a complaint, whatever it might be, there's no sense of defensiveness that let's see how might we? Sometimes the answer is, how might we is that a different entity needs to take the leadership in that role, that it is not a space for us to be in. Sometimes that's the answer, but it's the right answer, and it's done in a very positive and collaborative environment. And that is a rare gift for an institution of this size. I think it's to the credit of our president and the leadership team she's assembled, but it's something that actually permeates every level of the organizations, that sense of in service to the other and open mind for improving. How might we do it differently? How might it move forward?
And Feli, I would add that the Board of Trustees, of course, as part of their shared governance process, embraces servant leadership.
Yes. Yes.
And so, I mean, that's in part of your bylaws and your policies. And we have been fortunate to have great leaders on the Board of Trustees. I always say, if you have a good board, you can do great things. And Feli, of course, as our leader of our Board of Trustees, has been phenomenal. And she has followed in the footsteps of other phenomenal leaders who just have given their all. I always say, when you become a board chair, it's like taking on another full-time job, except you're not getting paid. that's the difference. Sorry, Feli. But the fact that, Feli was appointed by our governor, as our trustees are, and has fully embraced this role of shared governance, of servant leadership, that sets the tone. If you have conflict with the president and the trustees, that could trickle down throughout the organization. So we've been very, very fortunate that we've had steady leadership through our Board of Trustees, which I very much appreciate.
Thank you. But I stand on the shoulders of giants, as they say. I'm following in the steps of so many gifted individuals that I've had either the honor to serve with, or the privilege of knowing in the community and knowing and learning from them. So thank you.
Looking again towards the future, and we've talked about the campus, how beautiful the campus is, some of the great new buildings on there. I love just walking from my car to my building, just walking along through the, through all the wonderful landscaping and the rain gardens and everything, and that's wonderful. What are you thinking about for the future? What is the future campus going to look like?
Well, it's on the horizon. It's very exciting. We are going to have our new mathematics and athletics complex, which we receive support from both our county and state governments. Thank you very much if you're watching. They provide 50% of the building, and we have been able to work on the design, which is still a work in progress. But the initial renderings, which the board will be seeing soon, are quite spectacular, and it's really an unusual combination, you might think. But as we put this design together, it's really turning out to be a facility that not only will serve our students, our faculty, our staff, but also our community. And it's much needed. This new building, it will be on the south end of the campus. We only have 120 acres that we work with here at the college, and that south end has really not been fully developed. What's there is the old Hickory Ridge building, the old athletic facilities, which a portion of it was established a year before the college opened, 1969. I still haven't found out what part of it was built in 1969, but a part of that building was there in 1969 to start the campus. And so we'll start construction next summer, and it should be done in the fall of 2024. So we are excited about that because right now the most beautiful building on that south end of the campus is the parking garage. So that's and we did that purposely because we wanted to make that garage look good, because we knew it would be a high traffic area eventually. So then after that, we'll have more buildings that we'll have on the horizon. But fortunately for us, we took two buildings, which were two separate buildings on the facilities master plan, and said, let's take a look at possibly combining these. And knew that they're called fused facilities, and they have been done in other campuses in Maryland. And there's a lot of savings in doing that way. You have one contractor, one architect, one time to go out for bids for materials. So it was a wise choice and timely, because as time goes on, if resources start to shrink for capital projects, we could have been affected if we had waited. So it was a good move for us to make that. So that is going to be part of the future, and it's underway.
And of course, you're keeping an eye on the latest technology and equipment for the current programs. I interviewed a student recently who told me that's why he came to HCC, because he knew they would have the latest equipment. He was just in the dental hygiene program. He said, I knew they would have the latest equipment and the newest equipment.
Well, that is true. In fact, I have heard students who graduated from our school and even will come back to our campus because they might pick up another course. Say they're taking a science course, they want to be in our new science, engineering, and technology building, or they need another course to graduate. It will be less expensive for them. They'll have the state-of-the-art equipment, top-notch faculty. So I think we'll be seeing more of that. And for us, there was a period of time in the college's history where it was like a 10-year period of time back under Dr. Burrell, where for whatever reason, we didn't have any buildings being built on campus. And so that backlog at a time when we were growing actually benefited us now, because one of the things that happens when it's determined whether or not you're eligible to get a building is to look at how many students you have and how much space you have available. So, we've been benefiting from what happened many, many years ago, along with getting the college's reputation is so good, getting the support that we need for especially buildings that if we had not had the athletic facility completed, will be completed in 2024, it would have been 55 years old. And that's a well-used facility. And if you've been there, it doesn't even the current building doesn't even look like it belongs on campus because everything else is nice and shiny and new. And I mean, we keep it clean and we do repairs, but it just doesn't seem to match our campus. Just like the Hickory Ridge building, that was an old office building that we turned into classrooms. They're a little long in the tooth, both of those buildings. So it's time for a change.
I can't wait for the new fitness center.
Yes.
I'll get used to it.
Yeah, it should be fun.
So this is something I wanted to ask for both of you is, how do you think the role of community colleges has evolved since 1970, and how do you see that changing in like the next 50 years or so?
Well, I think when my understanding is that there was the sense of something that was based in the local area and would we serve a diverse population directly in that area. But I think that doesn't begin to describe what we do in Howard County and what I see happening across the country. I recently attended virtually the American Community College Trustees National Conference. And it was interesting to learn of the experiences of community colleges all across the United States, and for everything from very rural to highly urban areas. And it struck me that we are at the cutting edge and at the leading edge of what others are beginning to experience, to think about and how we're doing. So our approach has served us exceedingly well. One of the unknowns is what will be needed down the line. How will we know we can be ready for it? How can we anticipate? How can we engage? So that always keeps us right on our toes, so to speak, looking to the horizon, what else is coming, how might we react, how might we do it? As opposed to, we have done so well, we don't need to think about fill in the blanks. That's never the case. So it's something that was reinforced in me in terms of the spirit of exploration, the continuous seeking of additional knowledge and understanding, and very critically, continuously thinking about what is it that our students need to succeed and how might we do. So we were early to have a food pantry, which unfortunately is necessary. We were early to have the type of counseling that we need in mental health and other services. We are early in thinking about how our programs were organized in terms of the credits that you need and how you line those up to maximize the student experience and so on. And I trust that that visionary sense will not be lost, that will continue, we'll continue to build on that.
That's a wonderful response, Feli, and I don't know how much more I could add to that. I do think we always have, as we say in Boldred speak, opportunities for improvement, right?
Yes.
So when I look ahead, I'm hoping that we will work, and we are working on this with our sister community colleges, in creating a more seamless transfer for our students across the nation. This is an effort that's underway because sometimes students, they change their programs and they take more classes than they need. So trying to make sure, and I think using the guided pathways formula that we're using now, and working more closely, in our case, University System of Maryland, and perhaps we'll have legislation that will support the seamless transfer. For me as a student, I went through and received my associate's degree from a community college, and the program I went to, they took you in as a junior. And that's what we want to have happen. They took every single credit. And just a small story, I met my husband at a community college, same community college. We were in Spanish class, and I couldn't afford the book. So our teacher, Dr. Collado, put us together and we had to share the book. And there you go, love at first sight. But I went to Penn State, all credits accepted. He went to University of Pennsylvania, all but one class, a music class. That's how it should be. It should be that way. It should be seamless. So I think that's, if, we have a fire in the belly for another fight, that's the one we have to keep going after, to make sure that our students get the best opportunity, just like what they call a native student at a four-year school. They should be able to go in. And so I think that's one area that there's an opportunity for us to do better. I do think too that, we're growing. Feli had mentioned the apprenticeships that we have. There's another opportunity to work with business, and businesses love it because they're losing people because a lot of their employees are boomers, And they need replacements in HVAC. They need replacements in construction management. They need replacements in biomedical engineering. We can help build the workforce, not only with skills, but also with people. So I just think there's so many exciting things that are on the horizon for us to do and to work with our community. And I'm just excited about the next 50 years.
Feli, anything to add to that?
No, I'm in.
Okay. Well, let's imagine the next 50 years. Let's imagine it's 2070 and HCC is celebrating its 100th anniversary. What do you think the headlines are going to say?
Well, Feli and I were interviewed before, and I'm going to do a repeat on this, Feli. But I said the headline will say, "You can still get there from here."
That's great.
Yeah. Still the best, still the best. Whatever the 100th anniversary iteration of the Malcolm Baldrige Award will be, maybe it will be the Universal Award or just the Presidential Award. We're it.
Yeah,
there we are.
That sounds good. I'm in on that.
Yeah, sounds great to me. Okay, so Chris gave me 5 little quick questions to ask you that she's been asking everybody during these 50th anniversary interviews. So I'm going to ask each of you quick answers. First is, what is your favorite place on campus?
Cafe on the Quad with Starbucks. I see everyone there, and I can get my pumpkin spice latte, which
That's getting a lot of votes. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say the Cafe on the Quad. It's a gathering place.
Same here, because every time I'm there, I'm engaging in conversation. I'm the type of person that will approach anyone I see on campus and introduce myself. Say, how are you? How's it going? What can we do differently? Do you need to borrow my umbrella? I have donated a couple of umbrellas on occasion. Yeah, it's the nexus, yes.
Okay, so let's stay in the Cafe on the Quad. What's your favorite menu item?
Did I mention pumpkin spice latte?
Yes, you did. Yeah. That's easy.
Yeah.
Cappuccino.
I just ate there. I just had my lunch. And so I know the full menu. The Cafe on the Quad, by the way, for your listening audience, is open 10 to 2 every day. Please go over and see Dennis and Jean and Shelley. So everything's fresh. It's freshly made. I just love the food there.
Yeah. It's a different take on the concept of food at the cafeteria or at school. We all have memories from other locations and times. It's like, oh, did you? And here it's like, yes. Some cappuccino for me.
Sounds perfect. So what's your favorite HCC event?
Oh, we have quite a few. I'm just running through, like the Huna Manor and the one that we are coming up to, which is the challenge race. And of course, the gala, which was supposed to happen in October and now is rescheduled for April 2021. That's always fun. And then there's Vino Scholastico. So those are events. But if I had to look at overall the college, besides the fundraising, my favorite event is commencement. Because that's like, here's the fruit of your labors. You see students, many of them, maybe they, struggled. And when they cross that stage and you're able to give them the diploma and just be with them in that celebration, to me, that's my favorite event.
I must agree with that. I have been known to make life plans around that date. We get it a year in advance. And that's just not something that shifts in our household calendar. Because it's so empowering, so emotional, so exciting and inspirational to witness it, to be part of that experience. I absolutely love it. The staff does a phenomenal job of organizing it. But it's also after the event, having a chance to chat with the families and the students and so on. And yes, it's wonderful.
Okay, if you had to describe HCC with one word, what would you choose?
One word.
This is hard.
It is hard. I'm just going to say excellence.
I'm going to say extraordinary. because ordinary daily events of life in an institution are made, always have an extra element in them at HCC. The care, the courtesy, the generosity of spirit, the encouragement, there's always something extra that happens there.
All right, the final question. If you found a magic lamp and the genie gave you one wish, but it had to be for the college, what would you wish for?
Well, I would wish for, because we work towards this, continued support, either through our foundation or through the state and county. That's so critical to making sure that the college is affordable for our students. So I would wish for that financial support so that we can continue to do that, all that we do, and make sure that students are successful.
Yeah, the word that flashed before my mind was funding. Shared in a much more eloquent fashion, of course, by our president, but yes, agreed.
Is there anything else either of you would like to add?
Well, Louis, I just want to thank you so much for doing the interview, and congratulations on your 10th anniversary.
Thank you very much.
I wish you well on at least the next 10 years, and looking forward to having you part of HCC. And I want to thank Feli. Again, Feli has given so much of her time during, well, all the time, but especially during these anniversary celebrations. So thank you, Feli, and thank you for all the support you give to the college and especially to me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I will share what I say to anyone who asks me about the college and being on the board. I believe this is an honor and it is a privilege to serve the institution, to serve the students, and to serve with our president. She's the best, just not to waste around it. So thank you.
Can't disagree with that.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to talk to both of you. Dr. Kate Hetherington, HCC President, Feli Sola-Carter, the Chairperson of the Board of Trustees for HCC. Again, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Louis.